Nice.
Hey, how's it going, Stay Wild Child? I think we are almost there. I think we are live. Yes, we are live. Webinar is streaming now live on Facebook. So, hey guys, it's Nicole, and I am back with Stay Wild Child. And it's a good day. It's a good day. What are we like? This is Cora. I'm going to be talking to Cora Spalding today. But what are we? Are we like day 50 something in our self-isolation? Do you know where we're at?
To be honest, I don't know, because people started quarantining and and I was still working and in the office. And then I think it was like 3-4 weeks in when finally they're like, okay, you guys all have to be out of here by noon. So, and that was 4 weeks ago. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we're quite a ways in. I feel like I am kind of losing track of days a little bit, and I have a little, less to do at home these days. And so like I haven't been looking at my calendar as much, but I know every Monday at noon Central Standard Time, I have this amazing opportunity to talk to women who I really respect and I really admire. And it gives, I've always been somebody who loves to learn. Yeah. And I feel like these episodes of Stay Wild Child, I know that someone is going to get some kind of like nugget, or they're going to get like some kind of like little piece of wisdom, or they're going to learn something new. And that's why I love to do these episodes, because whenever you have these kind of discussions, you always have this opportunity to kind of like grow and learn something new. So I always walk away every time I do these on Mondays. Yes. I'm like, such good information. Yes. So this is Cora, and sorry, I totally monopolized the whole little bit, but this is Cora. And, Cora, I know this group is Stay Wild Child. And really what this group is about is helping women remember who they are before the world told them who they were supposed to be. I think that, a lot of times we can get caught in what we think we're supposed to be doing versus like checking in. Right? And figuring out who we are. Yep. Yeah. So I know that, you've been moving in on this, whatever you call it, spiritual evolved journey, this awakening for, quite a while now. But I want you to kind of take us back. And I don't know how far that goes, right? So take us back a little bit to where you were really before you started remembering who you are, and kind of the steps that took us to there. So sure, I'll let you share.
All right. So I like that you started like that, because I actually just did this like big old Instagram post about like when I was a teenager, like I knew who I was, because people always say like you don't know nothing when you're young, you know what I mean, and you don't know what love is and who you are. And I don't agree with that, actually, because my post was all about like, sure, I knew a lot less at 14 to 20 years old, but like I was in a place where I was just doing me, and that's just the attitude I had. I don't know where it came from per se. It might have even been like a defense mechanism from like not having a ton of friends, being seen as different, and just kind of being like the black sheep, I guess, if you will. So, and I actually have a tattoo. I'm sure you can't see it, but right here it says "Never Forget." And when I got this tattoo, what it means, it's nothing to do with 9/11. It just means never forget like where you came from and what made you what you are today, or who. Sure. So I've been on, I guess because I didn't pre-plan, I've been on my specific journey now for, I'll just say, since I went to treatment in January of 2019, because I have a year and a few months of sobriety under my belt. So before that, I had gone and seen like Jessica Alstrom, and I've done like the Quantum Revolution tours, and I met you through there, and several other women and men who were on the same kind of journey of figuring things out, kind of reaching out and being like, I know I have this inner want and this inner drive of who I think I am and who I want to relate to, but I don't know how or who or why. So, I mean, I guess we could say 2 years. Hardcore on this journey, but my spiritual journey's probably been my whole life. I mean, being born a really big intuitive and empath, I still call it deja vu, even though my deja vu can last 30 minutes to an hour, where like when the scene used to play out, like when I was a little kid, I used to cry about it because I was like scared, like, why is all of this happening again? Whereas now I just sit back and enjoy it and laugh. I'm like, I know what you're going to say and you're going to do. It's crazy. But I don't know how far back you really want me to take it to. Do you want me to take it back to like?
I think that where you went was, so really you feel like after the sobriety happened, that really started to, did you feel like you were more aware because you weren't numbing things? Is that what was happening?
Totally.
Is that what was happening during your drinking?
Yeah. So alcoholism runs rampant in both sides of my family. There's actually something called the double whammy gene, where when you have it from both sides, alcoholism, drug addiction, anxiety, what have you, your genes basically can intertwine and you're more than likely than not to suffer with it. Some people don't, which is awesome. But so I battled that my whole life. I had my first drink at 14 after my dad died. And from 14 on, I was hooked. I loved it. I mean, my cousin and I drank and we were giggly and it was fun all the way up until probably my mid-20s when it just wasn't fun anymore. And it became a coping mechanism, a numbing mechanism. And then always knowing that's not who I was, you know, like that's not who Cora is. Like Cora is like this peace-loving, super outgoing, intelligent, like person. But that was buried so deep down inside, you know, I'm like this weird, it's like a little bubble in there and everything else had just kind of cocooned around it.
Right.
So fast forward to going to treatment. My husband, Aaron, at the time we were actually going through a divorce. We had relationship issues that went even beyond just my drinking. We were together, not even married a year, together for 4 years, 5 years, I can't remember. But like shit was just, it hit the fan. And like finally I had moved out, got my own place. I had a good job. From the outside things probably looked okay. But I mean, I really hit like rock bottom.
Right.
So, but I don't know, it's been enough time and I've done enough work where I can say it as like, not that it's a normal thing, but knowing that a lot of people have done this and, you know, it takes a lot of work to crawl out of it and still be able to smile about it.
You know, I've heard the saying, there's a book that I read, it's called The Magician's Way. And actually I talked to Ellen Comer last week on the show. And Ellen Comer she's a coach, but she's the one who recommended the book, The Magician's Way. And William, goodness, I can't even think of his last name, but he's the author of The Magician's Way.
Yeah.
And it was a book that really impacted me and kind of, you know, it really changed my life. But she said that anytime somebody shows up to one of his, you know, coaching events, anytime somebody shows up and says, look, I've hit rock bottom. And he's like, congratulations, man. It's like, there's nowhere else to go but up.
That's right. It's right. And I feel like myself and many people I've met now and I've been around, they hit rock bottom multiple times. And when you really get into the quantum level of things and your spiritual journey and soul contracts, I mean, and you surrender is a huge part of healing.
Huge.
Yeah. So when I finally surrendered in treatment and I realized that, you know, these are all life lessons. They're not fun. I'm not quite like, I call it, what is it, a Neville person who believes that everything
right
created. Because I think, you know, shit happens in life and some things turn into a crap show and you just got to keep swimming, you know. But when I surrendered and I was like, okay, Cora, you've done this to yourself, or maybe you've signed up for this, you know, even before you got here, it just made things a lot easier.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, absolutely. I remember so we became friends on Facebook probably, and I met you so it was that October event, right? In Miami.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then so things, you kind of moved out on your own shortly after that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
and
cool.
So I remember you, you know, it's like, we always want to kind of put this, you know, this brave, like, front, right? Like, we're doing good. I got my own apartment, you know, right? Like, this is the plan. And then I remember kind of you had a little bit of a meltdown after
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
then I guess that's when you went. So did you actually go to a treatment program, or did you?
Yeah. Yep. So I tried to stay sober and and my whole life I've been the tough girl, and like I come from some very tough women and just pushing through. And that's just kind of like the persona. And even I think that sometimes helps too. Like if you can not like wallow in your sorrows and put your best foot forward. There's a fine line though. You know what I mean? Between, so it's like, and finally I just had enough and I broke down and I drank, and it was crazy because I had a beautiful apartment. It was so cool and I was so blessed to be able to afford it. And, I really had good things going for me. I'd been sober 7 months. But I remember I put my yoga pants on and I was like, I'm going to go work out because there's a Snap Fitness right there. And then all of a sudden my apartment was just empty and like the lonely hit. And I was like, I drove to the liquor store and I was like, yeah, this isn't going to solve anything, but it sounds really fucking good right now. Excuse my language. Sure. And it just kind of spiraled from there. So I drank for 2 weeks almost nonstop, didn't go to work. And my husband was like very worried about me. He still loved me very much regardless of all the bullshit that was going on. And he was like, I found a really cool treatment center. And I was like, okay. And at that time, I was just like, yeah, it'd be nice to go. Not to fix my marriage, not for anything else, but just because I really personally needed some help to get out of the situation that I was currently in. So I went to a place called Beauterre, and it's in southern Minnesota. And I didn't know what to expect. I went there, and it was winter, it was January, my husband picked me up. And I got to this place down in southern Minnesota, and like when you got to the front gate, it looked like a billionaire's estate. There was like old cobblestone. It looked very like an old farmhouse redone, and just it was beautiful. I was like, are we at the right place? And how am I affording this? So
yeah, right. Ooh. This is expensive. Ooh. Yeah, right.
But I went there and I didn't stay the full month. I got kicked out a week early for insurance reasons. Because while I was in Beauterre, I actually lost my job as well. So I was in treatment, losing my husband, lost my job, lost my income, gonna lose my apartment. And that's actually like what made me surrender. Like I was just one night, I was on my bed, we had a window right there, and like the full moon was like a beautiful, bright full moon was pouring in. And I'm so connected to the moon. I was like, thank you. And then I just got this massive urge to just surrender. And I sobbed and I sobbed. Thank God I had the room by myself because I was just a sobbing mess on the bed. And there's not words to describe what happened after I surrendered. When I was just like, I gave myself to God, the universe, anything. The next day, things were just different. And I just knew I had to like pick myself back up. I got a glimpse into like that little girl inside and like the girl I was supposed to be when I grew up.
Right.
And I've just taken it from there.
Oh, it's incredible, Cora. I got chills all over my body. I've been in that place of letting go before. And, we all have different ways that we hold tight to different lessons and things in our life. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And, I'm right there with you. I remember that just like letting go, and it's so powerful. It's not easy. Mm-hmm. But when you do, everything transforms. And I mean, so I'm talking to you, has it been 2 years then?
This last, oh gosh, time is so crazy. So like,
I know, me too.
What was it, like September or August of 2018 when we went to Miami, right?
Correct.
So then it was Christmas of December 18th, 2 days after I moved out.
Okay.
From then until New Year's.
So we're like a year and a half-ish, right?
A year and a half, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So look at where you are now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so hard to let go. But once you do, it's almost like you hit a fast forward button or something.
Totally. And that's my driving force between being like, I'm not a certified life coach or anything, but like with just the little things that I do. I started my personal training business and the
Right.
reiki business and things like that. Like that all transpired after that, because it's like, I used to be the person who was like, well, how do you ever get out of this? You know, once you're so far in something, whether it's a bad relationship, an addiction, or alcoholism, you can never see the silver lining, you know, and you
Yeah.
can't see the forest through the trees, as my mom. But it's like you surrender, and then it's one day at a time.
Yeah. And it's that way. I mean, that's where the anxiety and the panic can come into play. It's either you're too far in the future or
Yeah.
you're too far in the past, right?
Yeah.
And so if you practice at this present moment, but it literally is a fast forward button once you decide to just let go, because we're not in control of anything. But it's so hard because you think that if you hold tight to everything that you can, I can keep it all going. I can keep it all going. I can make my marriage work. I can, and but the letting go, it's unbelievable. So I always say this, I have the direct sales business Thrive. I always say it's hard to experience, or it's hard to explain. It's something that you have to experience, but it's the same thing with letting go. It's hard to explain. It's something you have to experience.
I feel like that can be said because I also have my direct business too. And it's like, with the results and the things, that we talk to our customers or potential customers about, they want such details. And it's like, it's hard to explain until you feel it for yourself,
True.
And you just let go and you just trust. But I feel like we're so programmed as people to hold on to things and to overanalyze. And I used to be so stuck in the past, like the what ifs and if I would have's. And then I was a super projector where I was always projecting into the future. And it's just, once I learned those tools, which I started to learn through Jessica Alstrom and some other coaches, and then I learned those tools through a psychologist in treatment, I was like, it just finally clicked. I'm like, you're right. Like, you have no control over any of that for sure. And you can barely control the present moment. So it's like you get to quantum leap into a future self or fast forward, but just by focusing on the present. If that
it's like that. I know that Jessica, she did that the last event that we went to in Kansas City, where we did the timeline collapse.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
It's exactly, it totally is what it is. And that's why I love, and I know that, we're very similar in this way, as a lot of us are that have, met through the Quantum Revolution Tour. A lot of us are connected in this way. We love to listen to and put the kind, like Matt Kahn and, Jessica and Neville, we like to fill our brains with that information because, it's, I can hear something so many times, and then you're right. Just like one day you're like, oh shit, I get it.
It's a huge aha moment. And it's like, and then you are kicking yourself for not getting it earlier, but you weren't supposed to get it any earlier because it's all divine timing. And it's like, and
you're like, damn it, I've heard that like 15 times. Why is it taking me so long to get it? But then you're like, okay, it is divine. It's perfect timing.
It's all played out. And once you just let go and you realize that, and you're just on this path. And I think all of us are on the very same path, whether you believe in divine timing and intervention or not, or you believe in quantum physics, or you believe in whatever. We're all here to be our grand and unique selves. And we're all here to go through all the shit and all the fun. You know what I mean? And when I was listening to Matt Kahn, the book that we're doing in the group, I played chapter 1 twice just to wrap my head around it. And now I'm up to chapter 3. And I was actually in the bathtub the other night listening. And he got to a point when he just said, like, you wouldn't be none of this very present in this moment, second time would be happening if it weren't for everything leading up to it. And that still gives me goosebumps, because I remember I was on a walk, and I say this on all my lives. I said it on with Jay, but I was on a walk, and in this certain place where I used to walk in Minnesota, I got a lot of downloads. downloads just being like all the information you've ever been asking for, but you get it in like, I get mine in dumps. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was just, and I heard God say to me, because it was a voice I had never heard before, and I was talking to God. God as I know God. And all of a sudden, like, it was like something just whacked me in the back of the head and was like, Cora, you had to go through all that so you can help others who are also going through it. And that is your purpose.
Absolutely.
Ooh, that makes me want to cry because it's so huge. And it's like, you know, I've contemplated opening up a treatment center, how I could become a drug and alcohol counselor, and all the things that you normally do to help people like that. But that's not my plan or my purpose. My plan and my purpose is just to do normal things or maybe non-normal things, and to show that it's not just for people who need to go to treatment that can better their lives. It's for everybody.
Sure.
Any situation. It's much bigger than just a treatment center. So that was a huge revelation, and ever since then I've been in like full force ahead.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. That's, yeah, it is. It's everything that we go through. You're right. It's it leads us to exactly where we're supposed to be. So yeah, very powerful. So let's talk a little bit. I know that the retreat that you had planned has been pushed out slightly, as has everything else in society right now. Yeah. And so let's talk about this awesome retreat that you have planned. Is it North Carolina?
Well, it's going to be the border of South Carolina and Georgia in the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Blue Ridge Mountains. And I have been to the Blue Ridge Mountains many a time, and it's one of my favorite places on earth. So yeah, so tell us about it.
So yeah, I just decided to do a retreat on the random. I was thinking about it. And it was shortly after the Kansas City tour. Enough people being like, just do it. You know, what is the worst that happens? It doesn't pan out, right? Mm-hmm. So I just was like, okay, I was guided to this camping. It's a camp site. I mean, this woman, her name is June, Mountain Rest is what it's called. And she was just so sweet on the phone. She has a bunch of houses and cabins to rent. And it actually went from wanting to take some women like into the woods and like rough it and show them how to like, you know, gather what kind of wood and teach them about plants and like edibles, and starting just very woodswoman, I guess. And then with the people that wanted to attend, it turned into more of a spiritual adventure. So that's why I was like, okay, I'll find something that's a little more fitting for that. And then it was a choice between, do I want to do a full moon or a dark moon retreat? And it just kind of happened to fall into like a dark moon, no moon for people that don't know what that is. And that's really good for releasing. And I was like, that's so fitting with my story because of all the things I've had to release in life. I mean, alcoholism is a large chunk of my life, but there's a lot of other underlying things that cause the alcoholism.
Oh, yes. Right. Yeah.
So the retreat just started kind of, and I work with Christine and Liz and a whole bunch of other beautiful women. And, you know, Liz Martin, she's going to do because she's a certified, or I don't know if you say certified shaman, but she's a shaman. And then Christine Freeland, you know, she does her Qigong and things like that. So it just kind of, and they're volunteering their time. So first night, dark moon showing up, and we're actually doing this whole release ceremony. And you can release whatever you want, you know, nothing specific. There's no hardcore schedule after the initial night of release. We're just going to sleep. And then the whole next 3 days is all about filling. Because I feel when you release some things, sometimes there's a void. Because your body, your mind, and your soul get so used to having that heavy or that hurt. Right. That when you let it go, the repercussion is your body doesn't know what to do with that emptiness now. It's been so used to having that, even though it's not good for you. So nothing but good stuff for the next days. And, you know, it's all inclusive, which means you get the tents to stay in and the food and the beverages. And Saturday, I think it's still going to be on a Saturday because we're going to do it in September now, is whitewater rafting, which I've never done. So
I've never done it either. That's just, I'm an adventure girl myself, obviously. You and I both have, I mean, you have your own motorcycle. I've had my own motorcycle before. And so, I'm all about the adventure for sure.
Yeah.
So are there spaces still available for your retreats since you're pushing
There is,
forward?
yeah, yep.
Okay.
So before I was capping it off at 12 people, and that's with me. I think there's 4 open spots, and that's if everyone that was going to go still can go. As
Sure.
you know, so I'm trying to plan it, and I have a whole Facebook page for it, and I'm trying to be very open and flexible, so the group knows that it, I mean, if you were going to come in the first place, I want you to come in the, now, and
Yes.
but I think there's 4 spots open as of now, and I was being kind of called to open it up to more people, but I have to just make sure there's enough room on the rafts.
Of course. Oh yeah, totally. Yes, yes,
I
yes.
kind of forget about the planning side of that because I'm definitely a fly by the seat of my pants kind of gal. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I was planning, I was considering, well, I mean, I've booked to go to Bali in September, but not sure if international travel will be open at that point. And so, but man, the whitewater rafting is just like so right up my alley. I love adventure. So have y'all taken your bikes into Deal's Gap?
Nope.
No, it's called, is it the Snake? I think that's what it's called. It's in, oh shoot. So it's part of the Blue Ridge Mountains, but I think it's part of Tennessee. Yeah.
We haven't really ventured out too far. So where we live here is central. We chose like a suburb of Columbia, South Carolina. So we book it 2 hours to the ocean, and then it's about 2.5 to the mountains.
Gotcha.
So it's funny because like we talk to local motorcyclists, and they're like, yeah, we live in like the backyard of where people travel from the whole country to come explore. You know what I mean? And it's like,
right.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about switching my motorcycle to more of a touring bike so I can have a comfier ride.
Of course.
But yeah, we can't wait to get out and explore, and I can't wait to go rafting. I mean, I chose rafting actually because it's something that's a little, it is scary for me. I wanted to challenge myself,
Sure. Yeah,
so,
yeah.
It's like with the rafting, and it's a level 3, and there's a 4. If you want to go through it. If not, you can hop off the raft and you can go around, just so people know. And I do have 2 people that are attending, and they're not rafting actually. So if you want to come and you want to skip rafting, that's totally okay. I tell them just to bring a book, or they're like, well, shoot, we're just going to sit by the fire and relax. So
you're like, heck yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would totally be on the raft with you.
I need like a good rafting buddy next to me. I'm like, I don't want anyone super scared next to me because I need you to hold me up.
That's right. We got this.
Right.
Yeah. So, I've loved watching your fitness journey, and I love that you're so committed to your challenges, which is, it's pretty incredible that you can be that committed. I've seen a handful of people. Well, I'm in a direct sales business that is a supplement business. And so I've seen, because being in that, they have, they're fitness instructors or trainers or whatever. And so I've watched them go through these fitness challenges. And when you announced that, what's the competition called?
So it's a bikini competition, and the what's it called? The federation I chose is NPC, and they're the largest federation for like competitions. I mean, there's fitness, was it physique? And then there's bodybuilding, bikini, all the things I can't even wrap my head around yet. Yeah, I just chose bikini because I really wanted to slim down.
Sure.
Just, and I was like, well, we'll start there. But I'm an Aries, so I am great at starting things, and I love to do so many things. Like, people are like, you have too many things going on. I've heard that my whole life.
Yeah.
And for this, I'm like, I'm going to finish it. So, yeah.
And I've watched you on your journey. I mean, you've documented so much of it. And I would imagine part of that holds you accountable.
It does.
But it's incredible, though, that you have been so consistent. And you've even been consistent in this self-isolate. Is it self-isolation? What's it? Sheltered home. Quarantine. Yeah. I'm like, what? Why do I keep calling it self-isolation? I think it's sheltered.
Maybe you're self-isolating.
So many damn names. But I've been like so impressed. I mean, you're working out in your garage with like jugs and all kinds of things. And so what is it? What's your, so I know that you did a dramatic diet change.
Yep, totally. So I got a personal trainer, and my
Oh,
trainer, I actually met her in treatment. So yeah, we just kind of, it was funny because at first people said we looked a lot alike, and like you could tell her and I were kind of like sizing each other up, like, do we look alike? You know, are we going to be friends? Or I'm like, are you going to be a bitch? Or, you know, am I going to be a bitch? Like, it's just weird high
sure.
school stuff. And then
Yeah.
we became buds, and actually because you can't really, there's rules and treatment and stuff like that, and while we were in there happened to be a super blood moon, and so we got to watch the super blood moon through the windows together, and then we kept in touch afterwards. And one day I just said, you know what do you charge for training? Her name is Jennifer Rosa, and she told me what she charged, and I was like, okay, what do I get for that? And so she started out also knowing that I just started personal training school too through NASA. So she's like, well, she didn't want to like over give me stuff. But I was like, no, you need to give me like the works. Like I need my meal plan, I need my workouts, I need my macros, how much water, you know, like give me everything that this dollar amount's going to get me.
Sure.
You know, and so she did. So, and it's funny because it's not, I haven't found the way of eating very difficult because it is a lot of protein. So you do, I mean, you can get sick of chicken, you know what I mean? You can only eat so much
Yeah.
chicken, but it's chicken and vegetables and egg whites and oatmeal and, you know, toast sometimes. And then the cool thing about learning it is like, because she's so good, you know, you have days where you re-up. So like I get a burger and fries, or, you know, there's a special couple kinds of ice cream that you can have. So, and it's really taught me that things like that in life should be a treat and
Right.
not a daily, because my husband and I, we don't eat all the time, which is great. It was fun, but I also got fat and it wasn't a treat anymore. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so we were doing the whole cooking at home thing at the very beginning of this, really intensely, you know, cooking every meal at home. And then my husband got tired of it and he's like, let's go out. Let's go
Yeah.
out. What a
Yep.
difference it is from you cooking versus going out.
Oh, yeah.
Because your choices, like I find, yeah, I do so much better when I cook at home
Oh,
versus,
yeah.
yeah, right, versus going out. So
Hard. And the other day, like, I mean, even so, like Chick-fil-A, like I can get, they have like naked chicken nuggets, you know, they're just grilled chunks of chicken, right? And you're in your head and you're like, I'm gonna, you know, it's fine, I'll just stick to my diet. And then for me, I get in front of the menu and I'm like, ah. All willpower is out the door, and I'm like,
it is.
yeah. So that's the struggle. So if I cook at home, meal prepping has been huge. And when I just barely signed up for my YouTube channel because I'm trying to figure out like what I want to blast all over that, you know.
Right.
Because people keep telling me I need to have one or two things to focus on, and I got 104, and I'm like, so. But it'll be all about healthy cooking and food prepping. It probably took, because I don't know if do you know what Farrell's is?
Oh
like,
yeah, Farrell's Fitness. Yeah.
yeah, so
I was in Farrell's for a while.
yeah.
Remember? Yes, that's how we. Yeah. I was at Farrell's for a while. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so me too. And you know, it's a 10-week program. It was awesome, and that's kind of when we started meal prepping a little bit. But it used to be it used to be so hard on. You know, I was like, oh, this takes forever, and I don't know what to do. And then I mean, I'd say about 3 months in this time, you know, it was down to a science. And my husband would be like, look at you go. You know what I mean? And it's just, it's a habit.
Right. You develop this healthy habit in your life, right?
Yeah.
And it just takes practice. And
it's like anything else.
Like all of this stuff, right? And you just get in the practice of, I mean, I remember before we went, you know, I spoke at the QRT tour in October.
Yeah.
And, you know, I knew I was going to be on stage and all of that. And so I wanted to, you know, kind of start looking my best, right? And so I cut bread out of my diet. And bread is it's a big one for me. Just, I can definitely tell a difference if I've been eating bread on this, quarantine. I need to get away from, I need to go back to but I can tell a huge difference in my body, you know, whenever I do that.
Yep.
It just takes practice. And once you start practicing, right? So like, you know, I practiced for a couple of months of not eating bread, and I just didn't really even think about it after that.
It's true.
It's just forming a healthy habit.
Yep. And your body becomes so accustomed, because you're not, feeding, I call it not feeding the wants, you're feeding
Yes.
your basic needs. Like I was just telling Aaron last night that I'm surprised at how, not that you ever want, I mean, no one should ever live on like 1,000 or 1,200 calories unless it's for a specific thing. I mean, I technically should be around 1,400 to 1,500 calories on a normal diet and be at a good body weight. But like when you cut all that stuff out, it's like, we don't need any of it. And that to me is like an epiphany, because my whole life I've had FOMO, like fear of missing out, like whether it was an adventure or food or whatever. And so I used to eat like I was missing out on things, but I was like, no, you're really not. So like now if I eat dairy, I definitely can tell from that. Bread, most definitely, or gluten. I'm okay. I don't have any allergies. It's just when I cut it out.
Me too.
I mean, my skin loves when I don't eat that crap. You know, my belly is not so, you know, and then I have my specific supplements that I use too that help all of that. So it's like, I mean, that's done a world of, and I've used Thrive, which is great. And I use my CBD products, which are great. And then I have Chinese herbs, and it's like, it's just kind of trying different things and seeing what your body likes the best.
Exactly. Totally. Seeing exactly what's right for you. So you talked just a little bit about your YouTube channel and trying to focus on like one thing. I get it, girl. So I spoke with a good friend of mine. Her name's Sam Ditka. We actually met in another direct sales business about 10 years ago. Nice. And we've remained friends. And she came on and chatted. She runs a group called Moxie Mama. And she came on just a few weeks ago, and she said in her description, in her little bio, she said, Jane of all trades. It's perfect because I'm the same way too, you know, and, you know, it's all really, you know, this helping, you know, Stay Wild Child, helping women remember who they are. It's getting rid of those boxes, right? And so, you know, I find as long as we kind of like, it all kind of interweaves a little bit. Yeah. Why not let it all fly?
It all dumps into the same ocean. I'm like rivers and tributaries. It all goes into the same place eventually, right? And it's trial and error. You know what I mean? If you're trying to build a brand or a business or what have you, nothing happens overnight. And you posted something a while back, and it's one of my favorite sayings of like, don't compare your beginning to people's medium or end, middle or end. I'm sorry. And I have to remind myself, because I'll look at someone like you who's been in your direct business for a while and be like, dang, I want that, you know, and like, you know, or other women. And it's just, but, you know, I've pretty much just been doing this for maybe since November, I guess. You know? And like and every day I'm learning something new. There's so many media outlets now. And that's all part of my sobriety and healing too. Having outlets like that really helps me express myself, my ideas, and it really helps me maintain of not hiding in those boxes anymore, of the who I should be, who I shouldn't be. You know, my whole life people have told me, and this just dawned on me the other day, my whole life people have been telling me like, I'm too this, or I'm too that, you're too extra. I mean, even when I joke about my hair going blonde again, my hairstylist is like, Cora. And I'm like, girl, you know who I am. This is just who I am. So
sure,
you know, it's time to just, that's me, my personal journey. It's just time to be me full-fledged, because, you know, when you're a good human and you're a little extra, that's okay.
Absolutely it is. And it's you know, it's choosing every morning to step into your most authentic self. And I know that, you know, for me, who was someone who was practicing for a long time of trying to be who I thought people wanted me to be.
Yeah. Yep.
So it took a lot of unlearning and, you know, choosing myself. I remember when, so I had a business, and then I sold that business, and I went into a direct sales business. It was shoes. Mm-hmm. And I like shoes. Yeah. And I was so excited about it. It ended up being a total scam, FBI, all this other shit. It was bad. But I learned so much on that journey. Yeah. But I remember I always, so this is pre-extensions. And I used to always put like pink and purple in my hair. You know, I looked different all the time. Yeah. And I remember this direct sales success coach, she always tried to say that I needed to look the same way all the time. And I'm like, I can't. That's not even my style. You know, I can't look the same way all the time. But she really she wanted, you know, my face to be recognizable, you know, and I have people they don't recognize me all the time. I mean, I have glasses on today, you know, and so they don't always recognize me, but like, I think that's part of my uniqueness. And I'm glad I never let go of that. I continue to always, my fashionista sense always kind of came out, but still, I caught a lot of shit for it for a long time. Right. And so.
And then it's like, I don't know if you experienced this, but like, you know, when I was in my teenager years, you know, like it was just, people were trying to figure themselves out, and I was a skater chick, and then I was a prep, and then, you know, and now as I've gotten older, people are like, well, you need, you know, like I have to take my piercing out for my real jobs. And I remember my last job, I had blonde hair, long blonde hair, it looked like yours. And I just found this really cool, like washout conditioner. It was bright pink. And I was an inside sales rep. I kind of went, anyway, my boss came in that day and he's like, well, I was going to take you to a client meeting, but now that you have pink hair, I don't think it's appropriate. And I was like, but that doesn't change who I am or like what I have to say, or the fact that I have a possible $1 million PO sitting in my inbox. And he's like, true. So we went, and it was funny because the woman who was running the whole massive company was like, oh my God, I love that you were brave enough to have pink hair. And I looked at my boss and I was like, so it was just, you know, and I struggle with it. I mean, my husband likes me plain Jane, as I call it, brown hair, brown eyes, very little makeup. He loves my eyelashes. But he's like, that's all you need. But if it were me, you know, I'd have crazy colored hair, all my piercings still in, and I got tattoos everywhere. So
right, exactly. It's just it's remembering to step in to who you are every day.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's probably the best gift I've ever given myself.
Yes.
The grace.
There's so much freedom in that. It's the letting go.
Yep.
And there's truly so much freedom in it. I remember that I was so nervous to start my group Stay Wild Child because I was worried what people would think of me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And now, you know, fast forward 2 years later, and the freedom that it's allowed me to be who I am, but then also I've noticed the people who I was in fear of, thinking that they would disapprove. I've noticed that they feel so much freer to express themselves to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. You don't think it'll happen because you're so controlled in the thoughts, right? But
and people, and you know, and people, when it comes to fear like that, I've noticed, I used to fear if I was, you know, my authentic self, and I'm friends with some of those girls that I used to be like, well, if I'm my full, you know, if I wave my freak flag, like my friend Ann says, you know, they're going to be like, oof. And I used to be so afraid to not have friends. And let me tell you, when you hit rock bottom and you realize that you have to let a lot of people go and that you have to be completely alone, and it doesn't matter if anybody else loves you, you lose that fear real quick. And then weird thing is people start showing up.
Yep, they start coming back around, or new
people. Yeah,
exactly.
People, you know, because you know your vibe is attracting your tribe, and it's people that, you know, well, are just naturally your friends. Then I have more friends now and scattered across the world just from, you know, social media treatment, Jessica Alstrom doing lives, than I've ever had in my whole life. It's awesome.
It is awesome. It really is. It's really cool. And you kind of start finding this community that's really open to being open and all super supportive of each other. It's a beautiful gift. Yeah. So Cora's beautiful eyelashes are sponsored by her. And and I just ordered mine this morning. So I'm super excited. I'm a girl who's had eyelash extensions for 5 years. Oh, and wow. So this has been, I'm super naked right now. And so
beautiful.
Oh, I mean, you know, you just get used to seeing yourself a certain way, you know, and then you're like, oh God, I'm so naked.
Well, you saw my quarantine video when I used a Snapchat filter, I literally in 2 days peeled off all my eyelash extensions and took off my extensions. I was like, I couldn't do it because they were so grown out. And
Yeah.
I'm nothing against eyelash extensions. You know, I have the best tech but it's the sleeping on them I didn't like. I felt like they were heavy when I got them wet. Being a motorcycle girl, when they're first done, they're fine, but they everywhere.
They blow. Oh yeah, they blow.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And mine would like once they grew up, they would flip around and stab me in the eyeball. And it's like, we put up with a lot to look as good as we do, right?
That's right.
So
I have to tell you the part I'm most excited about. I'm excited to get mine. So, you know, they should be here in, I think they said like 5 to 7 days or something.
Yeah, they come quick.
But
I was like, holy crap.
I'm so excited to get mine because the part that I found most challenging with extensions is swimming, because the water will sit, you know, right up on the top of that lash.
Sure. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. So, you know, I'll be able to swim, not have extensions on and swim, and then get out, slap on the magnetic liner and pop the lashes on. So
yeah, it's so easy. And I'm so thankful that Lisa Fox was the one who started blasting around. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try them. I tried them on. Within the hour of trying them on, I signed up to sell them because I'm like, well, why not, you know, make a little extra side money if you can. I'm all about multiple streams of income. And then, I mean, literally just from those pictures I think I put the video where I just lift off my lash and it slaps right back on. Yeah. Like, I probably 15 people message me and be like, okay, what are they? And
that's cool.
I've worn so many in my life. I mean, I've been in the beauty industry since my young 20s, so you're going to love them. I promise.
Good. I'm excited. So after I close this out, I want you to put your link below there. And, you know, if you want to put your group for the retreat, you know, there might be some people interested in that as well. So, well, it's so good talking to you as always. I love our talks, and I'll get us uploaded to YouTube, get you the link over, and I appreciate you, girl. And it's always lovely seeing your smiling face.
Thank you much.
Yes, honey. Okay. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.